On July 2nd, 2013, the future World Series losing St. Louis Cardinals would sign 17-year-old pitching prospect Sandy Alcantara out of the Dominican Republic. Alcantara would start out for the Cardinals playing in the Dominican Summer League, posting only 1 win to 9 losses in 12 games, and a pretty mediocre 3.97 ERA to go along. And honestly, Sandy was putting up pretty average numbers in the Cardinals farm system. When in 2015, he'd post a better 3.22 ERA, but once again, only played 12 games with 4 wins and 4 losses. And then in 2016, he would start in A-plus ball, but get sent down to A-ball and ultimately finish much worse in A-ball, although he had a much bigger sample size. Now, looking at these stats, it's pretty surprising that Sandy was called up at all, let alone to the majors as a relief pitcher for St. Louis. But in 8 games, he would post a pretty mediocre 4.32 ERA with a finishing 83 and 79 Cardinals. The one thing Sandy did excel in, though, was fastball velocity, and he still does. And he finished in the 98th percentile that year, averaging 98.2 miles per hour. In the 2017 offseason, the biggest move would happen for Sandy, as him, Zach Gallen, and 2 others would be traded for the Miami Marlins all-star outfielder Marcell Ozuna. Alcantara would play a combined 22 games in 2018 for the AAA New Orleans Baby Cakes and the A-plus Jupiter Hammerheads, and Sandy would put up a 3.90 ERA with a solid 1.26 WHIP combined, which would be enough to call him up to the Marlins, and he would start 6 total games in 2018 with a pretty solid 3.44 ERA and average 1.41 WHIP. And although these stats may not look amazing, he was lighting up the advanced stats. His barrel percentage was in the top 90th percentile at 3.3%, with other important metrics like XBA, hard hit percentage, and ground ball percentage all being in the reds. The Marlins knew they had something to look forward to in Sandy, and in 2019 he'd be the number 4 starter for Miami. And in his first game, he pitched an 8-inning shutout against the Rockies with 6 strikeouts and only 4 hits allowed. And, it looked like Sandy was going to be off to a hot start, but he struggled in his next few games, and he didn't pick up his second win of the season until almost 50 days later. This win, though, was another shutout, and it was against the New York Mets, and this pretty much set a spark in Sandy. Now, I said it set a spark in him, but he did perform pretty inconsistently in his next few starts with some gems and other mediocre to bad performances, but this would be enough to send Sandy to the All-Star game as the lone Marlins representative, and he finished the season with pretty average stats, but the future was looking bright for Sandy. Now, of course, the 2020 season was cut short. Sandy started 7 games where he posted a 3 ERA and a 1.19 WHIP, which was his best major league season yet, even with the small sample size. But he also posted his lowest walks per 9, his second lowest home runs per 9, his lowest walk percentage, and his second highest strikeout percentage all at the time. And this would just be a preview of what Sandy would be. And the season after was really Sandy's breakout year, where he posted a 4.3 F4, 3.42 FIP, 201 strikeouts, a 1.08 WHIP, and a 2.2 walks per 9. And Sandy finally looked like the ace the Marlins knew they were going to get after trading Ozuna in 2017. But even with the impressive year, Sandy was snubbed from the All-Star game, while his rookie pitcher teammate Trevor Rogers was the Marlins' sole selection. He did have a great year, though, so I do want to give Trevor Rogers some credit for that. And finally, the season that everyone was waiting for was here, 2022. Sandy Alcantara absolutely dominated his opponents, pitching the most innings he's ever pitched with 6 complete games, a 2.28 ERA, a shutout, 207 strikeouts, a 0.98 WHIP, a whopping 180 ERA plus, an All-Star selection, and the National League Cy Young winner. Sandy was finally here as a proven best pitcher in the NL, and maybe even the whole league, and he wasn't even in his 30s yet. Everyone was ready for the next many years of complete domination by Sandy Alcantara. Everyone was excited for Sandy's 2023 season, and it came, and Sandy just didn't look the same. There were reasons for this, but main ones were his strikeout percentage, which was the lowest since 2019, and his hard hit percentage was one of the worst in the league in the 39th percentile. And Sandy really just didn't look like the Cy Young winner he was last year, and in the season with the 4.14 ERA and 1.21 WHIP. Now, I'm not saying these stats are bad, and obviously it's very hard to sustain a Cy Young level season, but for the ace that Sandy was promised to be, these stats were pretty mediocre, pretty average. And people were thinking, when will Sandy get back to his prime form, until disaster struck? In October of 2023, Sandy was required to have Tommy John surgery. He would have to miss the entire 2024 season. This was probably what was affecting him most in the 2023 season, as he went from the Cy Young winner to a pretty average pitcher. and it looked like all this potential had been sent down the drain. And now in 2020-25, Sandy is back, but he has been one of, if not the worst pitchers in the entire league with a 7.2 ERA and a 1.5 whip. Maybe he needs a change of scenery, and I very much wouldn't be surprised if he got traded here at the deadline. But I just hope one day we can see prime Sandy once again. But for now, I have him as one of my biggest what ifs of Major League Baseball.